The time has finally come. The Salesforce DevOps Center has been made generally available, and thousands of Salesforce customers around the world will be rejoicing that they no longer have to use change sets. The Salesforce DevOps Center is designed to help teams release changes to Salesforce faster than ever before, and has features such as visual development pipelines, source control using GitHub, and automatic change tracking for your Salesforce environments. Hi, I'm Ben McCarthy, founder of SalesforceBen.com, and our mission is to help you advance your Salesforce career. Subscribe to our YouTube channel below and check out our extensive resources on SalesforceBen.com. Without further ado, let's skip over to a conversation I had with Karen Fidelak, Senior Director of Product Management at Salesforce, and David Clark, VP of Product at Prodly, where we discussed what DevOps Center is and why this is such a groundbreaking product. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. We're going to be talking a bit about the Salesforce DevOps Center, what it is, and why it's so important. And I'm joined by Karen from Salesforce and David from Prodly. Karen, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Sure. My name's Karen Fidelak. I'm a product manager here at Salesforce. I have been with Salesforce for about 5.5 years, and I've been working on our developer experience, developer services for that time. For the last 3 years or so, I've been focused on this new product that we've been building called DevOps Center. So happy to be here today.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, Karen. And David?
Yes, my name is David Clark. I'm the VP of Product at Prodly. I am, been working in the Salesforce ecosystem for about 10 years. I've been at Prodly for 1 year doing DevOps tools to help customers manage their enterprise applications. And before that, I was at 6 years at Salesforce doing Einstein bots and Salesforce CPQ as product management.
Great. Thank you, David. So to kick things off, Karen, it would be great if you could give us an overview on what the Salesforce DevOps Center actually is.
Yeah, so DevOps Center is our new tool that we actually just launched last week. This is designed to provide a better experience around change and release management. We have provided an application that provides a click-based interface for users to manage their work and their changes and their deployments, all while leveraging modern best practices like source control. So we're trying to bring kind of modern best practices to our low-code community while also allowing them to work alongside their pro-code counterparts. And these are folks that have been using these modern technologies historically or already. And we're now trying to bring these teams together to allow them to all use modern best practices when it comes to change and release management and DevOps, but allow them to use tools that they're comfortable with. So we're super excited about it. Like I said, we just released it, and we're hoping folks get their hands on it and start using.
And why did Salesforce create the DevOps Center? What was the need they saw which required this release?
Yeah, so one of the key motivators for us has been really to provide a better alternative than what we have with change sets today. So change sets has been our kind of solution for low-code, click-based change and release management over many, many years, and it's quite lacking in several areas. It's not the greatest interface. It's been in need of severe update and overhaul. And so we've known for a while that we needed to provide a better solution for managing change and managing deployments. We believe this is really just table stakes. So our customers, our developers on our platform really need and expect some tooling to manage their development process, manage their release management process. And so we've been thinking about it and talking about it for a long time, and finally, about 3 years ago, really put the investment behind it. And so we've been working since then on delivering this as part of our platform solution.
Great, thanks. Yeah, very exciting to see it go GA finally. And David, maybe you could give us some, just a summary of the many benefits that you can get from DevOps Center.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Karen mentioned the hybrid team working model, which is one of the big benefits. You have all of these declarative these citizen developers, these people who are working on the Salesforce platform who want to engage in this more streamlined approach to developing software, which has been around for a long time. And so the benefit there is getting your entire team together using the same unified process to develop software, which provides the benefits of being sometimes, compliant. If you have government regulations or other things that you want to enforce within the way you're developing software, part of that comes with speed, having things go through the same development pipeline. And then also having the benefits of using continuous integration. If you're working with multiple developers, software gets tested earlier in the process. And then finally, just having the history of everything that's happening all built natively within the Salesforce platform is just wonderful. You have the work items, you have the deployment histories. If you need to do approvals, everything is right there in the platform, which is just wonderful.
And Karen, why is this? There's been so much hype around the DevOps Center, so much excitement for the release. So why is this such a groundbreaking release for Salesforce?
So I think there's been so much excitement around this for a few reasons. One is what I just mentioned earlier, which is change sets and just the need in the community for something better than change sets. So excuse me. The appetite for this product has been really overwhelming from that standpoint. I think from a sort of technology standpoint, one of the things that we're very excited about, and that's quite different from how change sets works, is that we are incorporating source control as a key component to the solution. So everybody who's going to use DevOps Center is going to use a source control repository underneath. And this is really, a standard process when it comes to like modern software development. And with change sets, our customers, our developers have not been able to take advantage of that. And so I think what we've tried to do here is make it super easy for anybody to take advantage of source control, even if you've never used it and are not familiar with it. So that's one of the feedbacks that we're getting from our customers who have been using DevOps Center already through our beta, is that they really appreciate and like how easy it is for them to now adopt source control. It's not, that overwhelming unknown thing that they don't know how to get started with. Literally with DevOps Center, all you have to do is have an account in GitHub and log in, and then we're going to do everything else for you underneath the hood. And so I think for me, like that's really the most exciting part of this is our ability to bring the entire developer community into this modern world when it comes to development, in a way that's easy and accessible, and able to be adopted. So that's what I would call it.
Yeah, great to hear. And maybe a follow-up question from that: a change set still going to be relevant with the release of DevOps Center?
So yes and no. I mean, change sets are still going to exist. We're not going to get rid of change sets right away. We hope, however, that users won't have a need for change sets very soon. That this will be a better solution that customers will choose to move to, for all the reasons that we've been talking about. But we're not forcing you off of change sets at this time. We believe that definitely the future is with DevOps Center. There hasn't been new development going on with change sets for quite a while now. There won't be moving forward. And the DevOps Center solution is technically compatible with all of the other tooling that we've been working on over the last several years, namely around our Salesforce DX suite of capabilities, like our CLI and our Salesforce DX source format and the source-driven development model. All of those things are compatible now with DevOps Center, and they are not compatible with change sets. So really, the future is with this model, and we hope and expect that over time, our users will migrate over to using DevOps Center. There can be used, either one, change sets or DevOps Center can be used today. There's actually no there's really no like technical interaction between them. So it's not like if you start using DevOps Center, you can never use change sets again, or vice versa. But we just hope that this will be sort of a natural progression for folks.
Yeah, great news. Thank you. And David, with a lot of kind of, DevOps is being introduced as a new concept for quite a lot of people. So is the DevOps Center going to require a new way of thinking?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because we've talked to a bunch of people about, DevOps and how it's exciting and what it is, and CI/CD and source control. And it's like, it's a lot of new learning for most people who are just admins who are used to using change sets. So yeah, it requires a new bit of education to kind of get on board with this new tool. The way I would describe it is sometimes you have to slow down and build a process so you can go faster. And I think that, Salesforce is becoming, larger and more complex, and there's more people working on it, and teams are growing. And so this is one of those tools that's just so wonderful for that, because now we're unifying the way that we roll out metadata. The customers that we're working with and we talk to, they're looking for some sort of center of excellence, some governance, something to bring the teams together, both the business teams and the IT teams, so that there's a way that they can manage changes. Well, DevOps Center is one of those foundational tools that those teams can anchor on, so they have a standard way of releasing metadata. And that's why, as we talk to customers with Prodly, we can help them integrate the work management component and the data deployment component and the metadata component all natively on the Salesforce platform, so that every time a new request comes in, they actually can have a place to document that request. They can define what that work is. Then they can go through the DevOps Center and actually release it and have a documented, safe way of rolling out all the changes for their business.
Yeah, I would just add, I think I'm glad, David, that you mentioned the idea of the requirement, or the work item, which is sort of a new concept within our standard tooling that we're providing. So again, going back to change sets provides like a very simple way to move metadata from one org to another. That's basically what it does. It's a very targeted, pointed solution. But the process around development is much broader than that, like we all know. And teams are doing that today. It's just that we aren't necessarily providing tooling holistically that meets that whole workflow, that whole lifecycle workflow. So yeah, we have incorporated a notion of a work item object into our model and into the experience. And so teams have always had some way of tracking a requirement, whether it's in a tool like a work management tool, or whether it's in a spreadsheet, or whether it's in somebody's head. There's some reason why you're making a change. And so writing that down and using that record as the thing that's tracking those changes through the entire life cycle, absolutely what you said, brings governance to the process, brings trackability, brings visibility as you're moving those changes. And then, the data piece is really important too. It's not just about metadata, it's about data. And I think you guys are helping us out a lot there in providing some solution to help with data migration. So we're also super excited about that.
So Karen, you mentioned work items there. What other new features are included as part of kind of the DevOps suite, Salesforce DevOps suite?
So we start with that work item. That's where the requirement gets defined. We have a capability that's called source tracking that we've introduced as part of our Salesforce DX solution. And this is where changes, as you're making them in a sandbox or a scratch order, tracked automatically. So we have pulled that functionality into the DevOps Center experience. And so as you're making changes like in your development sandbox, they're going to be tracked automatically. And through a simple button click in DevOps Center, you're going to see that list of changes. Every piece of metadata that has been changed as a result of the work that you're doing in that dev sandbox. And so that's, again, one of the features that we hear from our customers. It's just a super helpful, like time-saving enhancement. We hear these crazy reports of hours and days that people spend just tracking and keeping track and sifting through lists of metadata to find all the components that need to be migrated. And so this is all going to be handled automatically for us now. So that's one big one. And then the source control integration, I think, is also really big. We've sort of hit on it, but through a simple click, we can commit that those changes that you've made directly to that source control repository that's connected to the project. We create pull requests in GitHub for review. We're going to handle all of the branch management, the merging of the branches from one stage to the next throughout your pipeline. So all of that kind of work behind the scenes, it's just making the experience better and simpler to use and allowing these teams to work against a single source of truth in that source control repository that they've not been able to do before. I think that's a lot of the work that we've been doing, is making that integration robust and seamless. And then the final thing I would say is the pipeline itself. So we have this configurable pipeline where you define basically your stages from development through multiple, one or more test environments before you get to production. And it's just defined as sort of configuration with the project. You define each of these stages as an org, a Salesforce org, and a branch in the repository, which DevOps Center can just set up for you automatically. And then through simple clicks in a visual graphical pipeline view, you can promote those work items and the associated changes from one stage to the next. So you can go, from your development into your integration environment, into your user acceptance testing environment, into staging before you go to production, all with simple clicks. And so it's, again, we're trying to just make this easy for you to use in order to adopt these best practices that we really are trying to encourage everybody to use. So those are the kind of three-ish big highlights I would call out.
And the feature tracking is you're not overselling it. It's so amazing to show up to my work item and it's intelligent enough to know what I changed, so I don't have to hunt around through all the metadata types. Like, that's amazing.
Yes, we get some of those like mind blown kind of emojis when people talk about this.
Yeah, a lot to get stuck into. So finally, David, could you kind of bring this all together and provide an example of how DevOps Center would work in practice?
Yeah, sure. I mean, love to name a few customers, but I'll just say that there are some customers who are in the process of adopting this or have adopted it who share a similar story, which is they're in the situation where they have a bunch of different ways to develop software. and so they have maybe one of them has a very mature and traditional DevOps tool on the market that their developer teams are just like, they don't want to let go of. They're like, well, this is how we develop software. They use Jira with it, and they already use source control tracking and everything, and they're very happy. And then over here, we have this IT team or this, the enterprise applications team who has a bunch of admins who manage, Salesforce. And they're traditionally used, literally a spreadsheet where they get in, they track all their changes for the next release, and they go in and do change sets. And so they're so excited about this GA because now they're going to consolidate everything into a single process. So they are going to continue to use their source control, their GitHub, and they're going to continue to use Jira, and they're going to integrate those things into Salesforce. And then they're going to bring these declarative developers with them in this new process. And so that is just so exciting to see, because now they have a unified way of intaking work items. They can assign them to different types of developers on their team, whether they be more code or less code, or different types of people who manage different applications, whether it's CPQ or some of their custom applications they built. And then they have a single release process using that DevOps Center tool. So we're really excited to see them go live and go GA. So congratulations, Karen, on that. It's really exciting.
Thanks very much. Yep, like I said, we're super excited, and we're also really excited just about the ecosystem opportunity here and what folks like yourselves are doing by trying to incorporate the additional functionality that you can provide to provide a more robust overall solution for our developers on the Salesforce platform, to bring our solutions together. So that is something that we're very excited about, the opportunities that could be out there for that. The final thing I would just like to mention, usually we get asked, how do I get started? And so just to kind of let everybody know, all you got to do is go to setup in your production org and go to the DevOps Center page. And from there, you can enable and install it. And it's a managed package, but we have a button from that page in setup where you can just go ahead and install it directly from there. And then there's a few little setup steps that we've got documentation for, and then you're off and running. So encourage everybody to give it a try.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Karen and David, for joining us today. I'm sure a lot of people will find this very, very insightful. So yeah, everyone gets stuck into the DevOps Center. Now that you have a better understanding of what DevOps Center is and how it can help you work faster and better, it's time to move on to our next video, how to set up Salesforce DevOps Center. We'll discuss why it's important to set up Salesforce DevOps Center, and we'll go into how you can actually set it up by defining your release pipeline, preparing your sandboxes, and installing the DevOps Center app. We'll also show you how to set up your first project so you can get started with DevOps Center right away. For more information about setting up DevOps Center, check out the resources in the description, and make sure to check out Prodly, a tool that can help you on your DevOps journey.